We've got such a crime problem in London, and I wonder whether Sadiq Khan should do something similar.
He's a terrible, terrible mayor. And as an example, you know, I was a high-ranking officer, sort of always, or a president. Even as a civilian, you know, I was a respected person. He treated me very badly.
Yeah.
I said, who is that guy? He's a terrible mayor, and look at the crime you have in London.
It feels much safer here.
Your mayor is a disaster. Okay, I can. I don't know him. I don't even know what. If you put him there, I wouldn't even know who he was. I can tell you, he is a disaster.
Yeah.
He's a nasty person. And he's letting crime go. You have areas in London, and you have this in Paris too, where the police don't even want to go anywhere near those areas. You have Sharia law where they don't even want to obey the laws of, you know, your country or France or other countries, and you have much worse conditions than even that. It's crazy what's gone on with Europe.
Joining us now is Michael Kroger, former president of the Victorian Liberal Party and Sky News contributor. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Donald Trump, he has blasted European leaders, saying that they are weak, they have failed to control immigration, and they are too politically correct. The US president told Politico that most European nations are decaying. He says that many of those countries will not be viable countries any longer because their immigration policy is a disaster. He also attacked European leaders for not taking decisive action to end the war between Russia and Ukraine, claiming they don't know what to do. And this is Donald Trump, this is part of the interview with Politico after Politico named Trump as the most influential person shaping Europe.
So how involved are you going to get? I mean, could we see you getting involved in European elections,
I want to run the United
example?
States. I don't want to run Europe. I'm involved in Europe very much.
Might you endorse
NATO
candidates?
calls me daddy. I mean, I have a lot to say about it. Look, I raised, you know, the GDP from 2% to 5%. The 2% they weren't paying and the 5% they are paying. And they're paying it because when we send things over, NATO pays for it, and I assume they give it to Ukraine. But Europe is being destroyed.
Michael, what's your assessment of this?
Well, you're never in any doubt about what he thinks. And I mean, basically he views the Europeans as sort of a group of leaders sitting at the Ritz in Paris or London, you know, having afternoon tea. That's how he sort of views them. So in relation to the Ukraine, you know, I, like a lot of people, would prefer him to be much more pro-Zelensky. But on the other hand, what's he actually doing here? He's actually saying to the Europeans, this is your business. This is not the Americans' business. And you know, the Americans shouldn't be funding your war. Ukraine is part of, you know, extended Europe. So his perceived weakness on Ukraine is basically him saying to the Europeans, this is your business. You are increasing defence spending, and it's your business to defend Ukraine, you weak lot, which is basically what he's saying to them. So much of what he's saying is right about immigration, of course. We see what's happening in France, you see what's happening in England, you see what has already happened in places like Belgium. So his message to the Europeans is, you know, you've got to be a lot stronger in relation to your borders, your country and your defences. And on that, it's pretty hard to criticise him because I think he's right.
I'm going to nominate Sadiq Khan.
Oh.
He's the London Mayor. He makes a fool of himself every week if you happen to live in London. He's destroyed that once great city. But here he is gloating at some pop concert that this would be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. He clearly doesn't understand Trump, but have a listen first.
Looking around this diverse room, Donald Trump's worst nightmare!
This is not Donald Trump's worst nightmare. Donald Trump has done more for African Americans, has done more to get more, for example, Latinos, minority groups coming over to his side of politics. The guy is hugely popular in these different communities. So Sadiq Khan, A, doesn't know what he's talking about.
Record numbers, Rowan.
Exactly.
Trump, when it comes to Hispanic voters, Asian voters, migrant voters, pretty much across the board. What he's been able to do, no other Republican has. It is the most diverse voter group.
Through choice, not through government mandates, and that's the difference. But this idiot Sadiq Khan thinks that somehow this is Trump's worst nightmare. No, Sadiq Khan. Well, Donald Trump is Sadiq Khan's worst nightmare, I would say that.
Well, I'd say Sadiq Khan is London's worst nightmare, but that's a whole other story.
Let's head overseas, and the immigration debate is dominating events in the UK again, where the Telegraph is reporting that thousands of migrants have been given visas despite failing an English language test. Let's catch up again with News Corp Europe correspondent and Sky News contributor Sophie Ellsworth. Thanks for joining us, Sophie. These issues just won't go away for the Starmer government, will they?
Yeah, great to be with you, Chris. Look, they absolutely won't. And this is just another farcical situation here in the UK where people are losing trust in the system of allowing people to migrate into the UK. And there definitely has been, widely spoken here in the UK, Chris, where there's an integration problem. Obviously, speaking English is critical to people assimilating into society here. And the fact that these tests are coming back with the wrong results opens up a giant can of worms for the government yet again with their failure to handle migration issues here correctly.
Now, you're outside number 10 there a bit early in the morning for the PM to be up and about.
Look, he might be having scrambled eggs on toast because he's meeting with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today, also the French President and the German Chancellor, Chris, to obviously continue to discuss the issue of the war in Ukraine. He's really led the way, Sakia, with the coalition of the willing. And today is another important meeting with these world leaders. But we know there were those drone and missile attacks in Ukraine by Russia over the last few days. So it appears that this war is far from over, Chris.
Indeed, we'll see what comes of those talks later tonight, our time. I want to get back to immigration, though, because as it happens in this country, the public broadcaster plays a controversial role, seemingly supporting illegal immigration. The ABC has always been on that side of the argument in this country, and the BBC's under fire in the UK. Here's a little bit of what's been to air on the BBC.
We have some men in the audience who came over on small boats and are former asylum seekers.
I was a refugee and I passed many interviews in different countries.
I mean, these are real people. That would be someone like you.
If Nigel Farage is our next Prime Minister, and that's obviously what we're working to deliver, if you're in this country illegally, you will be deported back to the country from which you came.
Yeah, the BBC with some illegal immigrants in the audience. It's redolent of a Q&A stack in the ABC here, and it's an all-in attack aimed at Nigel Farage and reform, Sophie.
It does indeed, Chris. Look, just from that clip there, you almost feel like you are watching ABC's Q&A, but there's been a lot of outrage over this, that these illegal migrants were planted deliberately in the audience so that the British public would sympathise with their case and, argue that it is okay for illegal migrants to be here in the UK. A very controversial move. But look, Chris, the hits on Nigel Farage, the Reform UK leader, they just keep on coming. They will not stop trying to attack him. And this is one of his policies he's been very strong on, that if you're an illegal migrant, you came here over the channel, through the channel illegally, you will be tossed out of the country if he is the next Prime Minister.
Can I just ask you, John, the Trump administration has just put out a national security strategy. We discussed it briefly last night on the show. It accuses Europe of civilizational erasure, wiping out its own civilization. What's the argument there?
Well, I think mostly what the Trump administration is talking about is the immigration policies that have just radically changed the demographics of many European countries, whether it's the UK, France, Germany, the Netherlands, and others. They have imported millions of Islamic immigrants who have not assimilated to their countries, who have formed almost separate enclaves, in some cases where there's very little law enforcement going on. They'll riot, they'll burn vehicles, and the Western Europeans seem to have no idea how to handle this, no idea what to do about it. And we're seeing a radical remaking of those societies in a way that is secular, that is multicultural. And so one example of that's going on right now, they used to have and still do have Christmas markets all across Europe. And this was never an issue before, never controversial, never a focus of violence. But in recent years, there have been a number of terrorist attacks by Muslims on these Christmas markets. And so now they're putting up barriers, bollards, they got intensive police protection and so forth. And it's kind of ironic because in some cities, they've canceled these Christmas markets because providing security for them is too expensive. Well, at the same time, they have spent tens of billions of dollars importing these Islamic immigrants and supporting them on welfare. And that's the reason why they have a security problem at the Christmas markets. And so I think that's the kind of thing that President Trump is talking about. I think he would like to see more European countries do what Hungary has done, do what Poland has done, and really maintain their traditional demographics and their traditional cultures.